No runs for you, as a fictional famous deli counter owner once said. Tanner Bibee might have a bagel next to his line as a pitcher, but the Guardians won because good teams find a way to win, and that's who the Guardians are right now.
Tanner Bibee, the Guardians, and you're listening to Locked On Guardians.
You are Locked On Guardians, your daily podcast on the Cleveland Guardians. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Tanner Bibee's run support goes down. The Guardians still win. He was player of the game, according to Jeff, and also according to manager Stephen Vogt. And I think Travis Bazzana also really likes Tanner Bibee as well. This is Locked On Guardians, your only daily Cleveland Guardians podcast that covers your team every day, from the majors, the minors, the draft, everything between. That is Jeff Ellis on the other side. And on the other end of the microphone, if you're listening, I'm Justin Lada. Combined, I guess, 12 years of hosting this podcast, if you combine my 4 and Jeff's 8. And we've both got 19 years of experience covering the Guardians minor league system. Jeff, today we're talking later on if the Guardians can sweep on Thursday. We'll talk about if they're taking control of the division. Once again, have to bring up our usual mantra of good teams find a way to win. But we start off today's show talking about no runs for Tanner Bibee. Jeff, where do you think Tanner ranks in Major League Baseball in run support?
He's last because he had, I think, 8 coming in, and he's still sitting at 8 because of the run support he gets. I looked at the lineup before the game, and I had to laugh to myself because I was like, he can't get any run support to begin with, and now we're going to pull out the guy who's been arguably their best hitter over the last month and give him at least partially a day off. It's like, let's just stack the deck and make it as hard as possible for Cleveland to get runs across in this one so Tanner can get no support. But he's got to be worst in baseball.
It was 2.3 runs of support in his first 10 starts this year. Now that he's made his 11th start of the season on Wednesday, it is now 1.3. 1.3 runs of run support this year. And for those who are scoring at home, that is when he's on the mound. Doesn't include when he comes out of the game. So the Guardians scored 6 runs last Friday against the Reds in the game he pitched.
Yeah,
but Tanner was long out of the game at that point. When Tanner's in the game, they are averaging 1.3 runs of run support during his starts. So Tanner doesn't get the run support. He doesn't care.
They need to just trade him away because his mere presence causes the offense to disappear.
Yes, clearly that's the answer here you're looking for. The offense is really good, and they'd be even better if Tanner wasn't on this team because they would score a lot of runs in the starts that someone replaces him with. I wonder if they can get Pedro Avila up in his spot. Maybe they can bring back Vince Velasquez.
Get Tobias Myers out of the Mets. Let's finally
Myers. Who
finally
was
get him pitching for this team?
Who was the pitcher that came over from the Giants the one year, or was it the Phillies? The guy who was like a high pick, Spencer Howard.
Oh, he was undrafted he was a free agent at that point. He wasn't undrafted.
Yeah, I know, but I mean,
Spencer Howard. He was a first round pick. It was never good.
Yeah, you could bring him back, and maybe they'd score some runs.
Carlos Carrasco would be available. He's pitching in AAA for Atlanta, so he would.
Yeah, he is. You know what? What's even better about this game is that not only did they not score any runs while Tanner was in the game, they also made an error. He had to pick a runner off, get a strikeout. He's like, I got to do it myself. And I was thinking, maybe they should just let Tanner bat for himself in the games he pitches. Like, maybe that's the solution. He needs to be Shohei Ohtani. And as you said, I don't know if you said it on off the air or before, but hey, let's not put our best hitter in the lineup either. That'll definitely increase the run output, right?
Yeah, it's and I will say this: the other side of it is, I'm sure since he would never say anything with the Bo Naylor situation of it all, but I'm sure it was a nice feeling having Patrick Bailey back there catching the game, calling the game, knowing he's the threat that he is in so many regards. For Tanner, so there's at least that positive with it. I did have to laugh though. It's like, yes, Bazzana makes the error, but then Tanner has to do everything himself. Well, but I'll say this: the other side of it is, if not for Daniel Schneemann making a great play earlier in the inning, this game is probably a loss. So the defense giveth and it taketh away in this one. And then, what does someone like Bazzana do in that moment? Well, he comes back up and gets the hit to advance the runner. So it's, that's what you want to see. You want to see those guys who, when they mess up, they turn around and do something to help the team. So, I mean, they keep winning.
Totally
and Detroit
redeem
keeps
yourself. Losing. You totally redeem yourself. Yes. Not surprised he did that at all. And okay, the Rally Cats made an appearance, so that guarantees a sweep, right, Jeff? Is that what we're saying?
I'm trying to remember the last time we had a loss where the Rally Cat appeared.
Yes.
In game 3. I guess I should be pulling out the Rally Dino as well from back there. There's no mail enhancement ad for me to read, but maybe I'll still bring out the Rally Dino for part of this one. Upset every day or Donald Cooley, who will yell at me to put my toys away. But
no fun allowed. No soup for you, no runs for you, no fun for you.
But yeah, like, I don't know. Like, I've seen a lot of Tanner negative, comments with him, and it's like, I hope everyone knows I'm like joking about the trade thing. But it's like, it's just crazy.
It's been nothing but sarcasm, just so everybody knows.
Yeah, it's just
picked that up.
It's the degree that this is happening is such a bad joke. It's like, I mean, we had at least two people in our comments. I was like, do I say it? Yeah, I'll just go ahead and say it. It's like we had 2 people in our Discord who talked about they won a bet by betting the under because they, it's like you know that this is gonna happen. Like, we all know it's gonna happen. It's free money and we're not taking it. But and ask Emmanuel Classe, you never turn down free money.
Yeah, even when it's less than your actual salary, why not?
If you could give Darwin Awards for your I cannot think not for commerce, but for economic decisions, that would be Emmanuel Classe would win the Darwin Award.
Yeah,
but yeah, no, I mean, it's amazing. Tanner was fantastic. I mean, I don't know what else to say besides that. He looked. I know Detroit hasn't been great this year, but he is. He's pitching well and continues to pitch well. He's looking more like the August version and less like the first half version of a year ago.
Yeah, and so in 2 starts this year, Tanner allowed 12 runs. He has made 11 starts total, and in all of those other, so that's 9 starts. Into their 9 starts, he's allowed 12 runs total. So 2 outings, he allowed 12 runs, and 9 outings, he's allowed 12 runs. So that Atlanta Braves start sticks out, and the Royals start earlier in the month where he allowed 4 runs in 4 innings. Other than that, he's only allowed 3 runs twice and less than 3 runs in the other 7 starts. So those 2 definitely affect where his line is overall and his stats. And his ERA is all the way down under 4 now, which is great because at one time it was in the 6s. So he's really worked hard to get that back down, and he deserved the win in this one. But I know he'll be just as happy with the team winning the way they did. I also thought it was great that he, this goes to our point about good teams find a way to win. I think this contributes to a good team. After Bazzana made the error and Tanner picked him up, with the pickoff and then the strikeout and got out of the inning, you saw a shot of him on the broadcast of Tanner going up to Travis in the dugout and patting him on the back and having a little conversation with him and reassuring him like, man, it's going to be fine. And reminded me, I know we've seen this before when he did that with Chase DeLauder in the playoffs last year. And then Gavin also did that with Travis earlier this year too. But have you seen the movie Little Big League?
The night nurses from Detroit have New Jersey is another victim.
Well, this one's Detroit. No, where the manager tells the third baseman who made the error, you know what he did after he made that error? He went up and ripped a game-winning double, and the pitching coach goes up to him and says, the ball off the pebble lost the game. There was no other bat. And he's like, yeah, I knew that. He didn't. That just reminds me of it was a good pick me up when it was needed. So, and then Travis Bazzana did come up and get a hit that kept the game going because that's what allowed Patrick Bailey, of all people, to deliver the game time.
High leverage Bailey. That's what we heard from Giants fans is like the only time that dude can do anything is if there's runners on. And would a hit have been better? Absolutely. But I mean, he got the run across and that allowed them to, in the end, win. Yeah.
We were doing a live insider subscriber meetup on video chat. And that started in the 7th inning when Tanner allowed the first run. And I said, well, that's game. They're not going to score a run. And then it was just fun. I'll post the video in the Google Drive for all of our insiders and everydayers who can access it. Just see our reactions in real time as Bailey grounds out and brings the run, and then the 10th inning where things get even better. So Tanner was great. The offense was not until it mattered. And we'll talk about the offense, and we'll talk about the guy who did get the pitcher win, because that was something very beautiful coming up next. You know, in baseball, we are full of routines and superstitions anytime in the game, whether it's the first inning, the 9th inning. I've got one. It's rally peanuts. When the Guardians are losing, I eat peanuts, and it works. Lucky jerseys, it can kind of feel the same way when it comes to products for hair thinning. It's a lot of hype, not a lot of confidence behind those supplements. That is why you want to turn to Nutrafol, the #1 dermatologist recommended hair growth supplement brand for the official hair growth partner of Major League Baseball. It takes a personalized approach. Formulas designed for different stages and needs, so it's not a generic out of the box. Physician formulated, clinically tested, NSF certified for sport. Very easy routine to follow. One of those small routines that really is going to help build your confidence. Find out why Nutrafol is the only hair growth supplement trusted by MLB. For a limited time, Nutrafol is offering our listeners $10 off your first month subscription and free shipping when you visit Nutrafol.com and enter promo code LOCKEDONMLB. And oh boy, things are getting fun at the ballpark, right? Baseball season is here, heating up. Memorial Day is around the corner. Big expectations for the Guardians right now, the way they're playing. You want to be there for those games and outdoor events all summer long, really. Getting tickets sometimes kind of feels like it could be a pain, right? Surprise fees at checkout. Maybe you're trying to get tickets to a hot concert and there's a long queue to get through. Nobody really likes that. And that is why you want to go with Gametime, the app that gives advantages back to fans like us with constant innovation. You unlock amazing experiences and tickets in just a few taps. I use it all the time. My wife is going to see Benson Boone using Gametime because you get the 100% authentic tickets from the Gametime guarantee, delivered at the best price on time, and fees are included. So the price you see is the price that you pay. 2 taps, you're all done. No stress, no hidden fees, great seats in minutes. You can decide to go to your event last minute, get a great price. Don't worry about the weather. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with MLB and Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, use code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply, but again, create that account. Use code Locked On, that's LOCKEDON, for $20 off. Download the Gametime app today. Well, you heard me mention the Everydayer Club in the subscribers. You can join the Everydayer Club by checking out the link in the show notes. And what does it get you? It gets you ad-free episodes of the show on audio, gets you access to our private Discord, as well as benefits like subscriber chat meetups. Right now, we are also offering 7-day free trials to the Everydayer Club too. So you can check that out as well. That is lockedonguardians.supercast.com. Check the link in the show notes to learn more. A lot of fun with subscribers. I'll upload that video later, reacting to the game. But yeah, the offense came through late when it mattered. Jeff, they scraped a run across in the 9th inning, and then you get a runner on second in the 10th inning. And I said immediately as that inning started, I said, you have to score 2 because you can guarantee the Tigers are scoring one run. And they did. Angel Martinez comes up with a big double. He was not having a great night up until that point. And then Jose, who also was having a bad night, had 3 strikeouts, ends up with a double as well. I know people are going to say, well, he had a base running blunder at second base. Well, he had a big lead, so I'll say that, but he was caught in no man's land. So if he had gone back to second, he would have been caught in a rundown based on where the ball was hit, or he could have run to third and hopefully forced an error. So there was no good decision there for Jose. And luckily, Cade Smith only allowed the 1 run, and the Guardians are now 7 games above 500 because of it.
Yeah, it was, just a lot of fun all in all. Like, because before he rips that triple, he almost ripped the double down the other line.
Triple, yeah. Yeah.
And for him. So it's like, you're like, oh, darn. And then he just came back around, hit it perfectly in the gap, gets across. Jose has the double. And you're like, okay, they're really cooking. And then the wind kind of gets knocked out of their sails offensively. And from there, Cade comes out, gives up a hit, immediately gives the run back. But settled in, took care of business, got 2 pop-ups, I want to say, in a strikeout. But I think he's not the reliever of the game. We spent all year talking about how great Eric Sabrowski is, and he tried to walk the side. I was joking in our talking with Justin. I'm like, because when Bazzana was at third, that was not a great at bat by Rocchio. It was a six pitches, all 6 pitches were balls, and somehow Rocchio only had a 2-ball count because he kept expanding. And then the Tigers unfortunately didn't do the same. So Sabrowski could not find the zone. Those days happen. But they were in dire situation after tying it up. And Colin Holderman is now your 8th inning, 7th and 8th. Like your leverage guy right now appears to be through usage, Colin Holderman.
Yeah, I mean, Sabrowski's still there. That was obviously
he is, but I mean,
it's a bad night.
You typically have 2 guys in that setup role, and it's like it feels like right now the setup role is Holderman and Sabrowski.
It is, and then you're peppering Gaddis back in, and he's still trying to find his way this year. He hasn't had really good control of the changeup, but if Holderman steps up and takes that just puts less pressure on Gaddis, and you can use him earlier to figure things out because Holderman is holding things down in the 8th inning for Cade Smith. Yeah, Eric Sabrowski, tried to make us all go a little bit grayer in this game. That was a disastrous start to the 9th inning. That just was not a lot of fun. But yeah, Colin Holderman. I mean, Stephen Vogt said we brought Holderman in because he has a good sinker and we wanted to get a ground ball level play. And instead, he got 2 strikeouts, which that's even better. So leave it to chance with the defense, especially with already having an error in the game after the error cost them. But yeah, it's been Colin Holderman's been a great find, and relief wins are sometimes hilarious. Like when you look at how many wins a reliever has, it's just often
and how often it's after they blew a game. Like
you have a blown save and a win or whatever, and it has to do with offense. And this one has to do with offense too, because they didn't score a lot of their runs until late. But this was I think that's a true earned win it should have been an earned win for Tanner Bibee, no doubt, but it was an earned win for Colin Holderman as well, because you come in with the highest leverage point of the game at that point, especially when it's not your own mess. Like, it's one thing for you to be a reliever and come out and make your own mess and clean it up, but he came in to clean up Eric Sabrowski's mess, and he, walked away with a spot-free counter on that one, and that's how you earn that win. So the bullpen, I mean, if we do our circle of trust, I think you're right. Like, it's the circle of trust right now is Cade Smith, Cade Smith, Eric Sabrowski, and Colin Holderman. And then the tier after that goes down to Gaddis. And then, I don't know, everybody else is in the same tier. Herons, Armstrong hasn't pitched since he came back, which is surprising.
Yeah.
And then Cody Hoyer's here for right now because Peyton Paulette and his wife are about to have a baby. Already did. So congrats to them. But they're all down. And there's tier A, there's tier B, and there's tier C. I think tier A is Smith, Sabrowski, and Colin Holderman. Everybody else might be in C. I don't even know if anybody is Gaddis in B.
Gaddis is I think. Sorry, everyone. I feel like I said that very loudly. I feel like Gaddis is towing the line. He's like right, because traditionally he would be a solid B guy, but he's had his struggles with his command spotting his pitches. So I think he's probably at the top of that C range, but I don't know if I'd put him in the B range. It's always interesting. I also liked how this week, speaking of relievers, we don't really have time to dive too deeply, but I like how they let Kobe Allard go for him to realize that, yes, no one still wants to sign him, so he had to come back. Like, that's, that was a weird moment this week for this team. But, when we look at the bullpen, we'll still see how it is with that Paulette spot. We'll still see how it is with Heron. Relievers who give up a lot of base runners and don't strike out guys. Typically that does not end well. But
really,
I know I'm going on line, but you still got, and as nice as it is to have multiple lefties in the pen, at some point they just got to kind of look at things and see what's going to give us the most effective, deepest pen. And, back when Hunter Gaddis was a borderline all-star, and Tim Herron was a borderline all-star, and Cade Smith and Emmanuel Clase were the baddest combination since John Wetland and Mariano Rivera. And if you know anything that happened with John Wetland, apparently when you have a combination that bad, one of those people is just a terrible human being. So,
Clase had to follow suit with something different, is what you're saying?
Something different. Somehow that is, not somehow, very much less bad. But still terrible.
Oh yeah.
But during that, the reason I bring that up is because during that run, we said that Andrew Walters should be the third best guy in that pen. when those two other guys look like potential all-stars as well. So like you still got Walters, Espino is going to be forever enticing down there. Like it's fun to have depth. Don't get me wrong. I would kill for the Cardinals to collapse and be able to get like a Riley O'Brien if they decide to sell. I don't, we'll have to see where the deadline comes. But the nice thing, I feel like, as opposed to a year ago at this time, is I don't think we'll see a Kobe Allard this year. I don't think we're going to have to dig that deep and go that low to find pitching, because the depth is there and the players are there, even with injury, to be able to recoup and find some guys. And it's going to be fun to watch this pen throughout the year. But adding Holderman just sets you up so much better if he can keep anything close to this. Because, I mean, we could be talking about Walters being the first guy out of the pen at some point this year, and that would just be nasty.
You don't want to bring back, Peter Strzelecki or Connor Gillespie or Darren McKagan, Wes Parsons. None of those guys do it for you.
I mean, you can't get Zach Kent because I believe he's paid for 20 of the teams in baseball right now.
I didn't say Zach Kent. No, that was Peter Strzelecki. Oh, you could bring back. I lost it on here. Scott Barlow, Eli Morgan, Tyler Bibee.
Is Barlow not with the Reds still? Wasn't he?
Oh no, Barlow's with the Athletics. I'm sorry, he's with the Athletics. Last I checked, Tyler Bibee is in the minors with somebody. So that's
I'm not sure. I had forgotten Peter Strzelecki exists, if I'm being real honest.
He just got picked up and then DFA like within a day with somebody.
I forgot he even existed. No offense to him or his family. I liked that trade when it happened, but it was because they needed depth. They needed those type of guys, and they don't need it this year. And you and I talked about it all offseason, like even to a lesser degree of Armstrong, but Holderman and Brogdon, and even adding guys like Avila back in, and they were just getting as many darts as possible and then just blindly throwing them at a board and hoping that one of these guys who has decent stuff, oh, hey, we got a triple 20. That's good. The others all missed the board and one went into my buddy's head over here. But, and that's Brogdon. But we got Holderman right here in a triple 20, and hopefully he can maintain close to that. And there's worse ways to approach relievers because of how inconsistent they tend to be year to year.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been fun to see, as the grand tradition with Cleveland baseball. It's not the big name free agent who ends up making the impact. It's more of the secondary guy. And the one that was least likely to make the team because he had options. He could be sent down amongst all of the relievers they signed. So great story, great performance. He has shown this before, so this isn't completely out of nowhere. So I have a little bit more faith in it maintaining.
Yeah, 100% agree on that. We'll talk more about taking control, finding control, and if the Guardians can sweep this series on Thursday. Well, things are chaotic in Detroit in the workplace, right? The deadline might be stacking up. Their inbox might be overflowing with offers for Tarek Skubal. Who knows what else? They might have a position open they need to fill. And when the pressure is on, you need the right hire. It's a Job for Indeed sponsored jobs because it helps you reach people who actually fit what you're looking for, skills, experience, and location. So you're not just hoping the right candidate stumbles across your post. You don't want, any Aaron Boone's or AJ Hinch's maybe, right? The stat says it all, though. The minute we've been talking, companies like yours have made 27 hires on Indeed. According to Indeed data worldwide, if you're hiring, you want to spend less time searching for that candidate, more time interviewing the candidate that checks all your boxes, less stress, less time, more results. We need the right person to cut through that chaos. It's a Job for Indeed sponsored jobs. Listeners of Locked On Guardians, you get $75 in sponsored job credits to help get your job the premium status that it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. Tell them you heard about Indeed.com/podcast through Locked On Guardians. Head to Indeed.com/podcast. Terms apply. Need to hire. This is a Job for Indeed sponsored jobs. Follow all things Guardians with us, hang out with us, and have a fun conversation about the Guardians with us every single day by auto-downloading on all your favorite audio platforms. Keep the show in the feed or hit your bell on YouTube after you subscribe so you get notifications for when a video goes live, whether it's a reaction video, reaction to the games, piece of news, or our episodes that come out every single day. So support the show and talk about the Guardians, even when they're not playing, because they're fun to talk about no matter what right now. So talking about Colin Holderman and a lot of how fun it's been for him to find his way on this team. And you're right. It isn't the big name free agents, the Josh Bells, the Mike Zuninos, Nick Swisher, Michael Bourne, Scott Barlow. Who was it last year? What was the big name? What was the big reliever last year? I don't know. You're on mute, Jeff, so I don't know who that's going to be.
Los. Carlos Santana.
No, the reliever. Who they signed last year? They had a big...
Paul Sewald. I mean,
yeah, Paul Sewald didn't work out for them. It's always the Colin Holdermans or the Ryan Rayburns or those type of guys that work out best for them as well. I also want to, this is a great stat I saw from Inside Edge, by the way. The Guardians have the second best winning percentage in baseball when they score 4 runs or less, which is second best in MLB going back to last year. Now, the winning percentage is only 368, so it's below 500, but they are far and away the best team in baseball, even when they score less than 4 runs, which is amazing because the starting pitching last year got off to a very bad start. There were some shaky moments in the bullpen last year as well, and this year the bullpen has also had its hiccups, and Slade Scotty hasn't been great this year. Tanner had 2 bad starts. Gavin's been inconsistent. Joey's been, a little up and down as well. So I said all to say is that just like we talked about earlier in the year, like they were hanging around, they were staying in the race, even when they weren't playing their best, things were not exactly going right. Everything's going right for them right now, right? You're scraping a run across the 9th inning. You're blowing teams out. You're getting runs in with groundouts and sac flies. You're doing kind of everything you can to win. Daniel Schneemann started the game at second base and then made a great play in center field, as you said, to kind of save the game. And some other good defensive plays like Quan the other night. They're fighting every which way to win. He scored the tying run, yeah. So and he's been ice cold off. Yeah. We're finding all these interesting things out in this series in Detroit. I'm sure that'll be an awkward conversation at the dinner table. That the Guardians right now own the Tigers. I think they're 9-1 going back to last season at Comerica Park, and I got to think Tigers fans at this point, Jeff, are tired of José Ramírez. Like Jose was having a bad night tonight, 0 for 5 with 3 strikeouts, or 0 for 4, 3 strikeouts, and then he comes up in the 10th inning and brings in what ended up being the game-winning run with the double. So it's like, he gets enough at bats at Comerica Park, he's going to hurt you. And I think all Tigers fans are just in need of a little bit of therapy from José Ramírez at this point. But when they were just kind of treading water early in the season, we said, well, this isn't going well. This isn't going well. And they're still treading water. Well, now they're no longer treading water and things are improving. So I kept wondering, remember we kept asking you, is it glass half full because they're playing okay and they're staying in it? Or is it glass half empty because we don't know if they're going to get any better? Well, it turns out so far, glass half full because they were kind of hanging around playing okay and despite things not going well. And now things are going well. And guess what? I think they're taking control of the division, Jeff.
Yeah, and the division certainly is helping them. Cleveland right now has the longest winning streak in baseball at 5 games. I think it's 4 to the Rays, and I can't remember the other team with a 4-game win streak. And, on the other side is Detroit, who's lost like 5 in a row or 6 in a row. It's
they're 10-30.
Yeah,
they're 4-13 now at this month.
If you look at Tankathon, right now the Royals and the Tigers are both on track to have a top 5 pick. Now it is early, but it's also 51 games in, I want to say. Like we're basically 1/3 of the way in. Like so for as bad as Cleveland had it at points last year, they were always no worse than I feel like 3rd in the division. Like even when they had their big losing streak, they weren't this level of bad. Yeah, Detroit's really bottomed out. And yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. Supposedly Skubal is having like a miraculous recovery and he'll be back sooner and later, and that does make them better. But that's not going to fix Kerry Carpenter, who hasn't been able to hit that year. That's not going to fix Jack Flaherty, who's been a terrible pitcher. It's not going to fix a bullpen that is, I mean, Will Vest blew the save today, but he's a good reliever. But the rest of that pen is pretty ugly. They're going to have to either sell it all the way out and make a bunch of trades, giving up the little prospect capital that they have, because they've called up a lot of their players as well, to try to get to a better team. Or they're going to have some really hard discussions about, do they consider flipping Skubal at the deadline?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, their offense. I mean, there's been a lot of injuries for the Tigers too. I want to be honest about that. Like obviously Skubal's a big one, but like they were on the broadcast night, they're talking about like Gleyber Torres is on the IL, and Parker Meadows, who's a great defender, is on the IL, and I'm trying to think. They had a couple other guys that were on that. And I was like, geez, like their lineup really is hurting because they have a lot of guys on the injured list.
Torres,
so I do
Trey
totally.
Sweeney, Javi Baez, Kerry Carpenter.
Kerry Carpenter is the big one. I mean,
yeah,
Trey Sweeney can't hit a lick, so I don't think that
and
matters as
Javi
much.
Baez, after that good like 2 months of last year, really
turned back into a pumpkin.
What it was. And I mean, the reason you want to have starting pitching depth is Jackson Jobe, Ty Madden, Troy Melton, Reese Olson, Tarek Skubal, and Justin Verlander all on the disabled list, and Bailey Horn as well, who has been a starter in his past. So it's bad. This is a team. I'm not trying to say like that health didn't have an impact. It's had a huge impact, but it also doesn't help that even if you had all these guys back, your pen is still a mess. And, they need more than, I mean, McGonigal now has an OPS under 800 because he struggled of late. He's had a solid series, but he's come back. It's Green and Dingler. Spencer Torkelson had that. That's the thing. So many other guys like Torkelson and Glybar had great, amazing Javi Baez first halves last year. You look at Spencer Torkelson, for a guy who was first overall, and was he the starter in the All-Star game? He ended the year with a 118 WRC plus last year. He's got a 96 this year. He had a 91 the year before that. Like, they're going to have some interesting decisions with him as he gets closer to free agency. I don't know what you do with Spencer Torkelson, but he's got to be one of the worst first overall picks in recent memory.
Not surprised considering it was 2020.
It was 2020. I mean, I liked Austin Martin more that year, but I'm sure he's come back to earth after a great start to the year.
Mm-hmm.
But in general, it's like this Detroit team is, because Framber hasn't been good enough. And they're just
been okay. Yeah.
They're in a hard situation. Cleveland does have to face Casey Mize tomorrow, and Casey Mize has been tough this year. So that's going to be interesting. I'm not sure if I believe in a sweep. The other side of it is
4 games.
Yeah, 4-game sweeps are hard. Casey Mize is really good. But I will say, the nice thing is you have another lefty going, and the only guy who's been a star for the Tigers this month is Riley Green, and Riley Green historically can't hit lefties. Now,
lefties.
Joey Cantillo's kind of had almost reverse splits because of the changeup, so we'll have to see. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting game tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, if AJ Hinch was smart, he might keep. I know the Tigers. Everybody complains about platoons. The Tigers platoon very heavily. Like Jahmai Jones is their DH against lefties, and Hao Lee is in there against lefties. But even some of the other guys like Kerry Carpenter didn't play against lefties, and Parker Meadows didn't really play against lefties. So Matt Fearling's been around. Wenzel Perez is a switch hitter, but he's also been a guy who they've platooned in the past too. So they are a very platoon heavy team. So it'd be interesting to see if AJ Hinch goes with a lot of left-handers in this lineup to talk about what you said about the reverse splits for Joey Cantillo with that changeup. But yeah, Casey Mize is going to be tough. But then again, Jeff, I believe Joey Cantillo is 4th in baseball when it comes to run support. The Guardians are averaging 6 runs of offense in Joey Cantillo starts. So bet the over on Thursday?
I don't know. Casey Mize is tough, and the Tigers' offense, as we've seen these past 3 days, is rough.
Bet the under still, I guess. Okay, I can see it, but yeah,
just don't bet.
Score.
I mean, that's
fair too. And they've had a hard time with changeups, and I don't know how they do against splitters because the splitter is essentially a tougher changeup, harder and just the same kind of action, I guess, for the most part. And his splitter is one of the best in baseball. So it is going to be a tough game if you're going for a sweep. But man, if they do find a way to win this game and sweep, boy, the Tigers are just going to be, it's going to be bad. I mean, the Pistons went home early as the 1 seed. I don't think the Red Wings were very good this year, were they?
They at one point looked like they're going to make the playoffs and break, I believe, the longest drought in hockey in terms of last playoff appearance. And then they, much like the Blue Jackets, had a historic collapse.
Choked at the end. Yeah, the Tigers are 20-30. And by the way, what you said last year too about the Guardians, how far behind they got. They were 15.5 out at one point, as we well know. They came back from that. But most games they were under 500 last year was 8. They did have a 10-game losing streak, but they never fell below 8 games under 500. The Tigers are now 10 under 500, maybe 11 if they lose on Thursday.
Yeah, it's just that they fell 15 games back. I mean, late as well, but like the Tigers rushed out early. They were the talk of baseball for the first half of the year.
Sure
and then guys like Baez and Torkelson came back to earth. We will come back to earth tomorrow, right? Are we?
I'm always on earth, I think. Yeah. I'm always on earth, whether I like it or not. But I like it right now because it's fun to watch the Cleveland Guardians. So we'll be back to talk about a sweep, possibly of Detroit. So Jeff, get your vacuum out from wherever you are. We'll talk about what are they go to Philadelphia after this, so that'll be very interesting because Phillies are playing good baseball right now after they fired their manager. Yeah, and unfortunately for the Guardians, you're getting Christopher Sanchez, Zach Wheeler, and Andrew Painter when you head to Philadelphia. So it's going to be another tough go of it in the next.
Christopher Sanchez is about as good as it gets right now. For those who are not as familiar with him, he may not be the biggest name, but
yeah. But we'll talk about all that. We have to do our prospect rankings update because things are moving. I want to talk about we talked about the All-Star game a little bit the other day. I'd like to talk more about it, and I'd like to talk about the futures game. And I know Jeff's got some draft stuff that he's been itching to talk about as well. So we have a lot more to come on Locked On Guardians every single day.
Thank you all for joining us, and go Guardians, go get the sweep.